All right, it is. It is Tuesday night, 9 o'clock, 9:02. Running a couple minutes late. Apologies there. It is Tuesday night. It is after 9 o'clock, and that can only mean one thing. It is time for Tuesday Night Perry. Welcome everyone. Today I'm going to be doing a little bit of toy designing in Tinkercad. For those who haven't been to one of these little tutorials, watch alongs before, I design toys for 3D printing. And usually they are toys that are either replacements for classic toys that I've lost or broken parts to, or they're my own take on classic toys that will be based around my professional wrestling persona to be sold at the merch table at live events. And that is what we're doing tonight. I actually have a really cool project in mind today. And I've brought along some toys that are examples, and I've got some reference images up. So we're gonna get to see a lot of stuff. Hey, oh, it was a close race. It was a close race. Bobby Gilbert came in just ahead of Graves with the call on the Tuesday night Perry. Welcome to you both. Glad to see you both here. So yeah, I'm gonna be designing a new little kind of a play set, kind of a set of toys that I think is gonna end up being a series. And I'm really excited about it because it's exactly the kind of nerdy that I love. Um, for those who may remember, there was an old toy series. You would often see this at maybe flea markets these days, possibly at like old thrift stores. And it is a series of toys meant for very little children from the Fisher Price company called the Fisher Price Little People. And I'm going to bring in a picture here. This is bop us to, yeah, there we go. This is some examples of what these toys look like. They're very simple. These little sort of round figures with little round heads with little painted on faces. Um, they're absolutely adorable. They're very simple, and I like that. And if you look at the basic shapes there, one, they're going to lend themselves to Tinkercad very well because it is very much geometric design application. And it's also going to lend itself very well to 3D printing, especially with a filament printer. This should be doable. Probably won't have to do this on the resin printer. Um, I am very quickly going to pop back to the close-up cam. I do have reference ones here because, of course, I have a bunch of these in my collection. This one's green, so it's going to look a little strange, but you sort of get the idea there. Also, from the little people, I have the dog, which is a very one of the more popular figures from that series. I do have those on hand, so I'll be able to yeah, Perry Price Little Perrys. So I'll be able to steal some measurements off of those. That's really why I have those on hand. But like I said, I want it to be a kind of a set, right? And you'll see right here, they made little vehicles that they could sit in. Ah, and that's kind of what I want to do. I want to have a little Perry with this little monster truck, and I think that would be just so cool. Even with these like very solid colors, I think when all is said and done, some of the only painting I really want to have to do on it is just the face. If I can make the rest sort of individual pieces that pop together, so the plastic is what provides the color, I think that would be really cool. Um, so I do want to show a couple other things though while I have this up on the screen here. Um, what I have to take measurements from is not one of these vehicles. I don't have one of those on hands. But, and I'm going to switch to the other camera here. I do have quite a collection of a different series that's very similar. There was a series put out by Play School that was called Familiar Places, and it was based on having locations. Um, and the figures were very similar, only instead of being round, they were square. And I mean, the similarity is impossible to miss. I mean, fairly interchangeable. These, I have a couple of the play sets and I have some pieces that go with it, but most importantly, I have one of the cars. I actually have two of these. This is just the one I grabbed. And these guys do just sit right inside. And truth be told, the other figures also fit right in there with them, which is pretty great. Kind of interchangeable, absolutely adorable. Such a simple little design with the little wheels here coming off little pegs that are part of the design. I really like that, and I do think this is going to be something pretty easy to kind of mock up here. I'm going to have a lot of choices to make because there's a lot of room for customization here to sort of make these my own. Um, but I'm going to shrink myself back down because I wanted to show a couple other examples of these series. So yeah, there you go. That's what the that's what the familiar places figures look like. I think you could still do a merry-go-round with the figure. You'd have to use your imagination a little bit. Um, let's see. Yeah. So for the play sets, I will say for the little people, I absolutely have this one, the Fisher Price A frame, which is amazing. It's so cool. This little A-frame house that pops open and has all the parts inside. I picked that up at a flea market a little while ago. Um, and then I have this one. This is sort of like the crown jewel of my collection. It is the Familiar Places Holiday Inn. This incredible example of like googie architecture, and you can see the very same, this same toy car is in that picture there. Um, so you can see kind of all the different playability. It's a great play set. And I even have it with the box. My wife picked it up for me for my birthday a couple years ago. Um, yeah, really fantastic. And then I brought up some examples so I'll be able to reference them. This is a two-person version of the Little People car. A lot of them are single-person cars. Yeah, you see here, these all hold one person. I feel like the Perry monster truck only has to be a one-person vehicle. I don't think it needs to hold two. I don't know. Maybe we'll figure that out. Maybe I need a multiple set because I might make other guys. We don't know. Yeah, here's a real nice close-up of what these look like. So I'm going to be able to use this for a lot of reference. I like the sort of indented Fisher Price logo that's on these a lot, so I may kind of knock that off a bit. I sort of like their Jeep grill that's on the front here. I think the first picture you could really kind of see that pretty well on this. So I think there's a lot of room there to sort of make the truck part of it kind of stand out. Here's some more images of different versions of these. And then I caught this one when I was looking for examples. This is so adorable. The little postman hat and his little post office truck. Amazing. Now they do have a modern version of these toys. They stopped in the late 80s, early 90s making this exact series. And then they started it over again with slightly different shapes and kind of updated, like this with the arms. And I mean, I get that this is like a truck and it kind of reads like the same idea, but I don't know. There's something too modern about it. Something kind of. I mean, I don't want to be overly critical, but it feels kind of soulless. Um, but yeah, I'm really aiming for something closer to what these all look like. I think they're super cool, and I think that my little example here that I have is going to be enough for me to work from. And I do need to make the little Perry figure too, so I have that here as well. So I'm gonna drag these out of frame, and we're gonna start chipping away at this little project. Um, and this little dog here is gonna be kind of what I do my original basis on. I like the sort of two-tiered thinner base, thicker body peg system that it has. Hey, Rye, welcome. I'm 3D designing Fisher Price Little People for the merch table, but I like the way that that works and the way that that could sit in a little peg in the vehicle. I think that's going to work well. And the car that they designed for the Familiar Places series holds four figures. I think that is overkill. The monster truck for Perry really only needs to hold Perry, so we're gonna probably try to run with a design similar to that. But there is a lot that I'll be able to glean from this. And again, I believe the final idea is that I'm going to print this in parts rather than with the monster truck chassis that I designed up a few weeks ago. It's meant to print as one singular piece. So I think I'm going to do multiple. Bobby Gilbert says, add arms so we can do merry-go-rounds. I'm specifically avoiding arms on these. I do have the new design of the regular figure coming, but this one, I think, for the merry-go-round is going to require some imagination, I'm afraid. And Bobby Gilbert, as far as doing a wrestling ring for these, oh, absolutely, that's coming. That's coming. But for today, I wanted the monster truck and the Perry. We'll work on a ring after because I do think that's a great idea. All right. So I'm going to pop up to our screen here. And if you've never used Tinkercad before, tinkercad.com, it is free. It's entirely web browser based, super easy. Joey Nails rolling in late, missed the entire intro. It's all right. I'll give him the quick overview. Joey Nails, we are making my very own Perry Von Vicious Fisher Price Little People with a Little People monster truck. Bobby Gilbert says do a six-sided ring. Maybe. I'm kind of thinking that if I do a ring for these, because I'm gonna make packaging to sell these in. I think if I do a ring, different figures need to each come with part of the ring. And if I did a four-sided ring, I could just cut it in quarters real easy, and each one comes with a quarter of the ring. You pop them together. I think that could be really fun, and then I can talk to some other wrestlers who want their own little people to sell at the merch table. I think it'd be a lot of fun. All right, so the first thing I want to do here is I want to start with making my Perry little person. Joey Nails with the bits. Thank you, my friend. Always hooking it up. Never comes empty-handed. He's got that DOT money, that Department of Transit Maine money. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start making this. And for those again who have not been to a Tinkercad stream, one of the most important tools I use is my little micrometer. These little calipers. It is digital and has a little. If it turns on, oh no, is it dead? Guys, my battery might be dead. I might have to read this with my eye like a peasant. Oh, that is a shame. It was working just moments ago. I tried it out. Anyways, they are digital and usually they work pretty well, but they'll have a readout there. But it does have the actual numbers written on here. The light's a little bright for you to see it. You can see it better on this side. So I'm going to be using that to get these measurements as close as I can. Um, and before all is said and done, we're gonna have our own little people here. Yeah, I know, poor person Perry. I do have spare batteries for this, but I'm not gonna swap them out on stream. Um, all right, so looking at this, I want to start down at the base here. So the first thing I'm gonna do is grab this cylinder and drop it in. And I want this to be real smooth all the way around. So this little slider up here tells you how many sides. And if I zoom in on that, you're going to be able to see it's a little chunky right now. And if I bring the sides way up, it just smooths until it's looking real nice and round. That's what I want. I want it to feel like these. These original ones were wood, and they're very smooth. I'm pretty sure they were all made factory made on a lathe. These original ones. Later on, they did switch over to plastic, which is of course the medium that I'll be using as well. Um, PVV and mods figure set. Ooh, yeah, maybe I do need to make the car that holds multiple people. We'll have a little Hero Botic figure, a little Bobby Gilbert, maybe a Graves. Yeah, just work everyone from the chat in until everyone has to buy a set from me. All right, so the first thing I want to do is I want to get this to the right size here. And since apparently my battery on this died, I'm going to read this by eye like a peasant. All right, and it looks to be, yeah, I'm gonna say that's like a 20.5, 20, yeah, 20.5 millimeters. So let's go ahead. We're gonna need that on both sides. Oh, you know what? It's 20 right now. We're gonna leave it at 20. It dropped in at just the right size. I'm all about it. Joey Nails. Also in my defense, I was vibing to Sabrina Carpenter and lost track of time. Hey, I get it. It's a great album. All right, so we're gonna take that as the top, and You know what? I'm not going to bother with changing the height on it at all because I need this piece to go into the next section. That's right. Miss Carpenter is a treasure around here. For crying out loud, her aunt is the voice of Bart Simpson. So, come on, let's just all right. So now I'm going to measure the upper half here, and that comes in at 25 millimeters. So I'm going to copy that, and then we're going to change this to 25. We're going to change this to 25. We're going to hop to our top view here and just do our best to center that there. Right now it's moving by too much. Down in the corner underneath me, in fact, I'm gonna make this a little smaller just so I can show it to you for a sec. Down in the corner here, right next to my head, there is a little snap grid icon, and I'm going to move that to 0.1 millimeters because I want very fine control with every tap of the key here. And I'm just going to move this around till we get it pretty close to center. And then the easiest way to check is to just try to click between the two. I can do that by going like this and just watching where that center dot moves. It's pretty well centered. Like I can tell it's not totally centered. And you know what? Maybe the way to do it, we got to zoom in a bit more. We got to get real exacting on this because I want this to be really good. Oh, and you know what? We got to switch the view. Yeah, there. Now we're cooking. Eat my shorts. Don't have a cow. See more butts. Joey Nels. She's a friend of the family. That's right. Just like Taylor, friend of the family. All right. So I'm gonna move this. You know what? I'm gonna Control Z, not move that. And now I'm gonna measure. You're looking in the bottom corner of the screen here. I'm gonna measure the distance from the base of the piece to the base of this top half here. And that appears to be just about 11 millimeters. So we're gonna go ahead and move this up 11 millimeters. And it gives us that little readout there, which is very convenient. Here we go, 11 millimeters. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So now what I'm going to do, I have an interesting problem here, and I'm going to show you how I want to solve that. So when we look at this piece, you will notice I'm going to move it to where the white background is here. The bottom corner here is a nice sharp regular right angle, just like what we have on the corners of our piece. But the top is slightly domed all the way around. And that's to sort of imitate the rounding of like shoulders. And I do want that. And of course, this piece that I have here does not do that. So what I need to do is make this shorter, make a duplicate of it, and then round the one that goes on the top. See, I didn't know Perry was making a Caseo figure. Let's see, I tried signing up for UHF, but the owner is a bit weird. All right, so let's get a measurement on this top piece here. And it's somewhere right around, it looks like it's right around 15 millimeters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and drop the height on this down to like, we're going to call it 13 millimeters. Then I'm going to go ahead and hit Control D and that duplicates it. We're going to move this up 2 millimeters. The little readouts that pop up in here are really helpful. And then I'm going to come over here to where it says bevel. And I'm going to go ahead and bevel that down just like that. And I think that looks pretty good. I don't need it totally rounded. I really just need it, you know, beveled like that. And that gives us sort of our shoulder shape there. Yeah, I think we're onto something here. All right, and we are going to call that the body because that's all it really takes. So I'm going to select all, group, and then just for the heck of it, I'm going to go ahead and change the color here to like sort of this Perry flesh type color. So what I believe I'm going to end up doing on these is probably Perry, you're in the way. Ah, I am in the way. Ah, jeez. I kept doing that last Tinkercad stream too. Anyways, I've grouped the two pieces. I beveled the top corner of this piece. And yes, please let me know when I'm in the way in the chat. Ugh, the absent-minded ramblings of and someone who's thrown themselves at the ground for 17 years for the entertainment of others. All right, so we're going to call that the body. Now, what I'm thinking is when I do print these, the body and the head I'm probably going to print as two separate pieces. So what I want to do is add a little peg here, and then we're going to have a corresponding peg for the neck and the head to get glued in. That way I can do them in two different colors. Um, oh, Joey Nails did get info on his Major Bendy's figures. Joey Nails gave me the update earlier. Um, So this is going to be the body. We do need to put a little peg in the top though. So trying to figure out, is that flat on the top or is that domed in? I can't tell by the way they shade it. It's very hard to tell. Ah, well. All right. So I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. We're going to go ahead and bring in a whole cylinder. That's sort of what you're getting from that stripy shape they have there. Is it's a negative. So I'm going to bring the sides way up so that it's nice and round again. And you didn't show me why. Hey, Bobby Gilbert makes a good point. I'm going to go ahead and extend this nice and tall so that I don't lose it as I shrink it down. Come to the top here, and holding the Shift key, I'm going to make this smaller until it seems about right. And then I need to make it much taller. Or I can just lift it up a little, I guess. We're going to bring it up to about there. And now I've got the only other tool I need other than my micrometer here, and that's a piece of paper and a pencil because I need to jot this down. The diameter on this is 11.3. And that's because when I go to make the corresponding peg that's going to go in there, I need to make sure it's small enough to fit in there. So I'll probably make it like an 11 millimeter peg so that it's kind of a tight fit. You know, 0.3 millimeters is not a substantial amount of space. But in the 3D printer, you can expect between zero point 0.1 and zero point 0.2 variance on a size like that due to what they call squeeze out on a filament printer. I may even make the difference a little bit bigger than that, but you know, we'll see. All right, so now what I need to do, I'm going to go to the top and I'm going to center this in the model that we're working on. That's got to be pretty close. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty centered. All right. And just like that, I'm going to go ahead and group those two. And that gives us our little peg hole where the head will go in. So that's the body complete. So what I think is going to happen is I can print this body in one color that will sort of reflect like my gear. So the body will probably be printed in black. That kind of matches my entrance jacket, matches a lot of my boots, my knee pads, my trunks. I'll just leave the body black, one sort of plain look. And then the head I'll print in sort of a, you know, Perry, fleshy kind of color. And I'm realizing that because I have a beard and because I have hair, either, I'm going to go to the close up on this, and it'll be a little hard to see because of the weird green body on this figure. But that hair is a separate piece of plastic that pops onto the head. And I bet I can do something similar for my hair, some long hair that pops on the head. I would love to do the same thing for like a beard. I think I'm going to be stuck either painting on the beard or shaping the head to have sort of a beard. I have a plan for that though. So, Joey Nails asked, "Am I going to paint on the trunks and stuff?" I don't think so. I think I'm going to leave the body just like solid color, maybe with like, maybe on the back, like I might write vicious with like the Gundam markers or something. Really keeping it kind of like very simple, you know? The whole idea with these, when you look at these toys, as long as I'm zoomed in on myself here, they are all very like solid color. Like this one has the little like shirt and tie drawn on, but otherwise it's a solid color. I think that's kind of what I'm gonna try to go with. I could, I suppose, in the same vein as this, I could draw on with even just with the Gundam marker. I could draw on some black down by the feet, and that would be my boots and knee pads, some black in the midsection that would be trunks, and then maybe like draw in the lines of like muscles or something. But I don't know. I think the sort of classic, solid color, I think could really work with just a little bit of some detail, just vicious or something like that. Again, part of it's because I really want to go with the same style. I'm really stylizing this to look like these toys. All right. I remembered to move myself down to the corner. Aren't you proud of me? All right. I'm going to go ahead and drag in one of these spheres. And again, we got a up here where it says steps. You can go way down and make it very like, Epcot ball, or you can go way up and make it kind of smooth, real nice. That's what we're going with. And I'm going to go ahead and get a measurement on these to figure out what the size ought to be. And I'm using the dog. The dog is slightly larger than the little girl, but I don't think it much matters. They're not going to have these on the table to compare them with, I don't think. All right, and that appears to be right around just a hair over 23 millimeters. It's a very similar width to it's just a little bit thinner than the body. So yeah, I'm going to go with the 23 millimeters on that. And so for that, we're going to come over here. We're going to hit that and say 23. Hit this one, say 23. And then, because it is a sphere, you got to make it 23 in this direction as well. All right, and so now I'm gonna just for the sake of getting the vision of what this is gonna look like, go ahead and move it up to approximately the right height. And it does look like the full sphere kind of sticks out just a little bit. So I may need to shadow this and make an indent on the top of the body. I think that's exactly what I'm gonna do because I really want this to look nice when all is said and done. Yeah, in fact, you know what I'm gonna do just to be sure? No, I think it'll be okay. That actually looks like it's gonna work. Never mind. Never mind. All right. So now I'm gonna go top view. Just for the sake of getting what this will look like. I'm gonna center it there. And then yeah, just like that, we kind of get you get the basic premise of what I'm going for here. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Cool. All right, so what I'm going to do real quick, because I like that height on it, is I'm going to hit Control D. Then I'm going to move this out of the way just a bit, because I don't need it there. I don't need it as one piece, because again, I'm going to print these as two pieces. Move that out of the way. I'm going to take this one, and I'm just going to move it down a little bit into the body. Just realized that's not how the controls on this work. All right, so we got it there. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and from this, I can bring it down. Let's call it, yeah, just a little over 1 millimeter. Now I'm gonna turn that into a hole. and I'm going to group these two pieces. And what that's going to do is give me that little indent where this is going to sit. That works really nice. Oh, I'm very happy with that. And that's also going to be really easy to print. Like the way this works with the 3D printer, that's going to come out really clean. All right. So now coming back over here, now we got to give it its little dowel that's going to be its neck. So I need to go ahead and bring in our cylinder shape. I'm going to bump the sides way up because again, I want this to be smooth when it goes in. It is going to end up glued together when I sell it. All right. So I don't want this piece to be too long, and I know that I need a diameter of about 11. And even that, I think 11 might be cutting it a little close. I'm gonna call it like a 10.5. I'm gonna give a millimeter difference just in case. So we got 10.5 that way. We got 10.5 that way. I am gonna make it a fair bit shorter, just eye short, just enough that I can see it'll be okay. Because it doesn't have to be long. It's just got to keep it centered on that little spot there. And so now what I'm going to do, just to make sure that everything's going to work, is I want a nice close-up view to make sure that that dowel can fit in there without any issue. And there it is. We'll see it'll have space. That's perfect. That's what I needed. All right. So now zooming out, I'm going to sink it down just enough that it's going into the sphere of the head. I'm going to go to a top view here. And holding shift, I'm going to bring this over, get it centered. Right, I think that's good. Now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to click everything. Then holding shift, I'm going to de-click the body and I'm going to hit group. And that's going to give us our head with our neck. And so now we have the two pieces the way that they will connect. See, Joey Nail says, I saw LMK this weekend. You should definitely ask her for help with setting up chat emotes and stuff like that. I will. At some point, Herobotic may actually take an active role in that. He's been dying to work with me on some of this, so we'll see. I know she's got all kinds of stuff set up on her streams. I've never actually sat in on one of hers, but I know that she's got her stuff set up pretty fancy. All right, so we have our head and we have our body. Now what I want to do is I want to give Perry some hair. And this is going to be much more complicated. Oh, hey Perry, I just had an idea for a figure. Lay it on me, man. I'm always happy to hear ideas. All right, so what I want to do is get this good and centered because we're going to be using this to sort of as our build thing. And then from here, I can kind of see where it'll be when it comes down and makes contact. That's about how it's going to sit when all is said and done. So we're going to leave it like that for the moment, just to build on it. Lego minifigure. Lego minifigures are very difficult to 3D print, just because the parts are so small. Like these are massive compared to a Lego minifigure. Like this little figure by itself that has such big parts is taller itself than a Lego minifig. That said, I love that style. I love their style. It's that very geometric, cartoony look. I love it. All right. So now what I need to do, you see this sort of scribble here? Um, this is a really interesting thing because what I can do is I can come in and I can kind of draw a shape and it gives me this weird shape. And what I can do then is hit done. And you see what we've sort of created here. And I can switch up its like thickness and height. So what I like to do with these is you sort of see what I have there is something that would work as like a piece of hair, right? So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to rotate it. I'm going to use it to cut itself. I'm going to come down. I'm going to shrink this down to about what I want. Switch which one I'm on. Give us a little bit of a better view here. You see how the two pieces are kind of interacting. Yeah, and I kind of like where it's at here. I'm going to bring it up just a hair. Actually, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring it down till it's intersecting, and it should be intersecting most of the way across. Might have to muck about with my angles here just a little, which is fine with me. You know, part of this is where you get really creative and weird, and you get to try a bunch of different stuff. That's what I want. I want to intersect all the way across as much as I can. All right, and now I'm going to take this piece, I'm going to turn it into a hole, select both pieces, and group. And now I have this funky, weird little shape, which may not look like much, but you're going to see exactly what we're turning it into here. So this piece we're going to make a little bit thinner. Zoom out a little. I'm going to bring it up in the air. And we're going to start moving it into place as part of Perry's hair. There we go. And you can probably start to see what I've done now is I've kind of created this piece that moved correctly. Should end up working as a bit of Perry's hair. It's a slow process moving it into place, and it's going to take a lot of them. But when all is said and done, this is going to become sort of, I believe I'm going to do it as a separate piece of plastic that'll pop onto the head, and you'll see how that'll work in a minute. All right, so let's get a look here. That's fine. That actually doesn't bother me because what I'm going to do is Control Z. I'm going to zoom way in. Take this. I'm going to bring that in, bring this down. We're going to move the whole thing up. And that's good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control D. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go down. And you start to see what's kind of happening here as I'm giving him a bunch of different little pieces. And there we have the centermost piece of hair. Now what I'm going to do is select all of those, deselect the head. I'm going to hit Group. And now I have this piece sort of as my basis for the hair. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on top. And I kind of like that it doesn't come all the way to the front because my hairline isn't great and I can kind of make up for that in a second. But for right now, I want to hit top via this side. There we go. We're going to hit the center button. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. Did I switch views? Which view am I on? That's the view that I want, right? Yeah, that's the one. Not sure when exactly I switched views, but I don't like it. All right, so I want to move till that is nice and centered. So now I'm going to hit Control D and I'm going to rotate it just a little and I'm going to move it over to about there. Then I'm going to hit Control D again. Control D, Control D, Control D. We're going to take a look and see how it's looking. It's actually pretty promising. Like, this isn't too bad. Yeah, I'm actually feeling pretty good about that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit it one more time to go over there. Yeah, I know, mullet Perry. I'm going to fill in a little bit on the top. We're gonna give a little bit more hair here. I swear. Hi, Nicka Beans. Welcome to the stream. All right, and so now come up here. I'm going to pick that middle one again and hit Control D, center everything so I can see what's happening. And once again, we're just going to rotate a very similar amount on this side. Move it over just to about there. And then Control D, Control D, Control D, Control D, Control D. You know what? That's not really as even as I would like. So I'm going to undo, hit that, Control D. We're going to hit the angle a bit. We're going to bring it over to just about there. I'm going to hit Control D again. I'm going to move this one over just a hair. Control D. Yeah, I think I got the angle too sharp. That's what's happening there. This is what I'm doing right now, taking all this careful prep is I'm saving myself some headaches later on. I suppose I could have written down what angle I moved the other one at, but I didn't bother. So here we are. All right, let's try about there and let's Control D, Control D, Control. Yeah, that's looking better. Yeah, I think right about there we're looking pretty even. Mullet Perry in full effect. Good. I'm probably going to add a little bit in here just to fill in that spot, but yeah, we're looking pretty good so far. I do want to give myself well, even that hairline is not that inaccurate to Perry. What do we think? Is that looking good as a Perry hairline for this weird style? Once again, I'm gonna zoom in on myself here. This is what the hair on the originals kind of looks like, and that's a little girl with bangs. And if we think of what my hairline is actually like, I've got it covered with, well, I was gonna say I've got it covered with a hat, but I can easily pop up my reference picture. I think that's pretty good for the hair. Like, I think that's not bad. Bobby Gilbert says needs a little more. He might be being pretty generous to me. What do we? I know Bobby says needs a little more. What's everyone else think? What are we thinking here? I'm not seeing a ton of input from others just yet, but I think that's pretty good. Like, I don't really have an issue with that. Now, the difficult thing here that comes next is, do I do my beard as a separate piece that I can glue onto the head after, or do I add texture of a beard to the head? I think if I did, you know what? I think if I do that, I would probably paint it on, because with sideburns, it would connect all the way to the hair. And I am going to do these as different pieces. Let's see. Okay, Rye is advocating for modular facial hair. I agree. I agree on that. I think you're right. And I think it's something where I can sort of combine the two ideas. I can do the facial hair that's actually like 3D on the head, but I can probably paint it by hand. I do want it to match the hair though. So it's Uh, it's okay. I can do it. I can do this. So that's what I'm doing for the hair for right now. I think if I come around too much more with it, it's going to look a little weird. Um, Although I suppose I can try this. Just going to try something real quick. We're gonna get a little silly. We're going Bob Ross style where he gets near the end of a painting and just goes a little crazy. I'm thinking if I shrink this down, bring it up, and then maybe if I bring it over like this, let's see, maybe in just, not that much, into like here somewhere. Because I do kind of want to fill in the sides just a little bit. You know what I mean? Yeah, happy little monster trucks. Yeah, I actually think we're kind of onto something there. Yeah. Do we think that's looking a bit better? We kind of filled in the sides there a bit. I think that's a bit of an improvement. I don't mind it flaring way out. I think that's going to look pretty funny on the final printed toy. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those real quick. I need a little bit more in there too. All right, I'm going to take this one and I'm going to control D and I just want to fill in any gaps so that the printed plastic piece is kind of a little more solid. Like I love how all of this goes in a nice line there, but then these kind of chunking out at the bottom there. Like it doesn't look bad, but I want it to be, the more plastic that's together, the more kind of rigid it becomes. You have luscious layered locks. Yeah, what's left of them. Uh, it's fine. There was a brief period where I really considered starting to use Victoria's Widow's Peak as a move, as a tongue-in-cheek joke about my own hair. I was vetoed by a number of friends who thought that it wasn't a very funny joke. I disagree. I thought it was hilarious, but you know. All right, so I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna copy those four. Control D. I'm going to mirror them, and then I'm going to move them across. What axis did it mirror them on? Aha, that's the one I want. That's what I want. What I want. Oh, and I'm starting to see some of my lack of symmetry here. Oh, interesting. Okay, I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to come to this one. I'm going to Control D, and let's go ahead and get a better angle here. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to just bring it over like so, and that kind of fills in the gap. I think that evens us out. My plumage here. I like that. Bobby Gilbert says monster truck peak. I'm with that. Okay, yeah, I do think that that's looking a bit better. That's very Perry. I kind of like how it flares out way at the bottom. That's very reminiscent of the original toys. When I pull this toy up and you see it's missing a pigtail on one side that smacked off, but you can see how it sort of did it. And it's like this little helmet. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take this. I'm going to copy the head and neck piece and turn the new piece into a hole. Then I want to make sure I do this exactly right. Then holding the shift key, I'm going to start selecting the hair as I move around. And I want to make sure I don't select anything other than the hair pieces. That should be a lot of them. Not all of them though. Ooh, tricky. All right. I'm going to deselect all of the hair pieces first. Then I'm literally one by one going to pick them. Okay, so that's my hole. I can see it up on the top. Now, one by one, I'm going to just that one, that one, that one, that one, this 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 one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. And then these ones on the end. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit that group button. We give that just a sec to work its way through. It's really got to think because now it's got a lot of polygons to work through. But what that's going to do is give me sort of essentially what's going to be a Perry wig here. That'll be a nice piece of hair with a perfectly shaped hole for that head. Yeah, that should do it. So now if I come here, I select this, hold that shift key and bring it over. Oh, I missed one. I got all but one. Are you kidding? Ah, bummer. All right, we're gonna Control Z, undo that. We're gonna select the whole piece. It's so annoying. All right, now try to get as many of these as I can, making sure that I don't select the body like it's trying to do. Oh, it's so hard to select all of them. Okay, that'll give me all those, but it also gives me the solid underneath. So I'm gonna 1, 2, 3, 4. Had to remember how many of those I hit. Move that over, come back to this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the easier way to do this. So now I'm gonna select all of those. That should be all of them, but I don't trust it. It's already gotten me once. All right, here we go. Select all of those, group, and now we have the three most complicated parts of the little Perry figure. Now hmm, I am tempted to make the little face details 3D, but I want to have leeway to kind of alter it as I paint it. All right, and there you go. You see I've got the Perry hair and it's a perfect little hole that'll sit on the head. I can just glue it in place when I print it. So I'm going to be able to print these as like different pieces, which means I'll be able to print them in different colored plastic. They make some filament printers that are newer. Bamboo Labs in particular makes ones that'll do multicolored prints, but they're pretty wasteful in the way they do it, and they're very expensive. So I do not have those printers. I have Ender 3 Pros, which are, for a long time, were very much seen as, sort of the standard for at-home 3D printing. So that's roughly how that's going to look for now, I think. Is that centered? Yeah, that's centered. That's how that's going to look when that gets all glued up. And I think that's pretty good for the moment. I'm going to turn the body sort of like a medium dark gray. How's that? Let's go with that gray. Turn the hair something similar-ish to my hair color, something like about there. I'm gonna turn that head like yeah. So now we're sort of getting an idea. Yeah, I should add my cats. The cats and the chickens are definitely, I've considered doing figures of them. There was a time years and years ago where I had a great design planned for a Perry shirt of me and my cats. And then right before I was supposed to do it, one of the cats passed away, and I just never revisited the shirt idea. I may circle back. The original artist was a great choice for it, but it was basically I was going to be like a lion tamer at a circus, uh, a very like Ringling Brothers poster style art design. And instead of lions, it was going to be my cats. And instead of a whip, I was going to have one of those the cat dancer toys, the little ribbon. All right. Let's see, how are we doing on time? Oh, we're doing fantastic. We're going to fly through this. All right, so I have an idea on how I want to do Oh, please do like an obnoxious wrap on your monster truck of your cat's faces and lasers behind it. Oh, that might be doable because what I'm sort of thinking, I'm going to zoom in for this while we talk about this idea. I'd buy 400. Thank you, Bobby. I know you would. I believe in you. Um, wow, this is a little bit beat up. I gotta fix this up. Some kid got something stuck in this, some previous owner. Oh, that fixed it. All right. Anyways, sorry. Uh, this is the car for the Play School Familiar Places series, and it's sort of what I have to kind of base the build of what I want to do for the monster truck that's going to go with this. It's meant to hold four people, so I certainly could have toys of others. But the nice big wide flat hood, I think what I'm going to do for the painting and the design on this, rather than like a 3D imprint or anything, I may well get some stickers printed that will fit on there. And I think that would be pretty cool. I am hoping to do packaging for these, but I have to build a vacuum forming machine. And it's not an insubstantial undertaking, but I think one that is worth doing. Are you going to make it 1/64th scale? I'm going to go as close to this scale as I can. And to give you an example of a comparison on an actual 1/64th scale monster truck, uh, and here I'll go up closer here. I got a Hot Wheels Bigfoot here. This is the very modern Hot Wheels Bigfoot, and that is the car. So they're not too dissimilar in size, but it's gonna read a little bit differently, and you'll see what I'm planning for this because I have a pretty cool idea on how this is going to work. Wow, that's weird. Sorry, I've tools that are misbehaving on me. All right, we're gonna go back up to our view here. We've got a pretty good start on Perry, but I agree he needs a beard, and I think it needs to be its own printable piece that kind of pops onto his head. So to do that, we know what the general shape of a beard is going to be like here. And I have a real simple idea for how I want to do it. And it is just going to be using spheres. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take that head, I'm going to make a copy, move the copy out of the way, and that's what we're going to build on. We're going to build on this copy of the head. So I'm going to bring that down. Yeah, I'm going to bring it down until it's very similar to the sort of line we see on that. And that's going to be like somewhere right around like there. And the reason I've brought it to there is because I don't want to build anything past that point because the beard will be interacting with the body and making it hard to stick on. Little people, chickens, and cats, and my pet's colors. Again, these are all ideas that are completely on the table. I mean, if the little people dog is any indication, you can make little people anything. I was just watching a documentary on this series on YouTube before I got started here, and for such a stupid little idea of toys, it is a gorgeous toy series, like really nice. All right, so I'm going to drop a block there, give us our front view, flat front view. There we go. Bring this down so the top is basically at ground level. Doesn't have to be exact because I really just need this to be close. And in fact, I may come up just a little bit proud of the ground there. Yeah, that looks good. I'm going to bring it over to our sphere. Bring it down just a little bit. All right. And then I got to get the top view here. This view switching is easily the most tedious part of this entire process. Bring it back, put it right there. All right, and we're going to leave it there for the moment, and you're going to see why shortly. Take this sphere, gonna zoom way in here. We're going to bring this, well, even the sides don't really matter that much because we're going to be shrinking it down, so you're not going to notice it as much. But essentially, I want to get sort of a uniform size on these, and I'm going to look at my figure here with my micrometer and kind of figure out like what feels like the right size. And it looks like somewhere right around 1 millimeter is about what I'm going to want. So I'll bring this down to maybe just a little bit bigger than 1 millimeter. Yeah, like a 1.5 seems pretty reasonable. Right. And so now what I'm going to do, bring it over and we're going to start building a beard out of these little spheres. And really I'm going to try to just build one half of the beard and then do the sort of like copy and flip paste, that sort of thing. All right, we're going to bring it back. Go ahead and zoom way in on it because we do want it to make contact. And that's actually going to be pretty important. And I want like, yeah, that's probably pretty good. All right, that's about the level of contact that we want here. Now that doesn't look like a whole lot right now, but we're going to slowly build our beard out of that. And I think that's going to work. Yeah, the more I'm looking at it, the more I like this plan. I think this is going to work. All right, so I'm going to Command D, bring it over, bring it back a little. Command D, Command D, Command D, Command D, Command D. We're just going to let it follow right around to about there. And I'm just going to make sure that all of these are making enough contact because we're going to use this head to cut out the shape so that this can then bloop right onto where it's going to be. I'm real happy with the stupid idea that I've got here for how this is going to work. All right. So now that's looking pretty good. I want to select all of them. I'm going to hit Command D and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring them up a little. Switch views. We're going to bring them forward just enough to make sort of a beardy shape here. Yeah, that's going to be the bottom chunk of the beard on one side. And now the next part's going to just come down here. So I think I just need to copy one of these. D. And we're going to move it up to about where I think it ought to be. And we're going to bring it forward until it's just poking out. And again, I'm partly kind of looking at the faces on these and trying to figure like, does this look about how I think it ought to? And I think that's going to be pretty good. So I'm going to deselect, reselect, Command D, and I'm going to move it over to about there. And then I do want to come down just a little bit because this is going to be sort of the mustache coming down to connect to the beard, and then we'll build the beard up to the sideburns here. And this is one of the reasons I chose this particular toy series, other than the fact that I do have a great affinity for it, is that it's so geometric in its design style. Everything about it is so geometric that it really lends itself to Tinkercad and the sort of limitations that this particular program has. All right, so I'm gonna lose that last one. Take this one. I'm gonna go a little bit lower. I'm gonna make sure it's back in just about where I want it there. I think that's good. Then I'll hit Command D and we'll do sort of a similar, bring it down. Yeah, something like that. Then we should be able to just about complete the line here. I think these are going to have to come back in a little. Again, this is a lot of trial and error, but if I build this one side carefully enough, I should be able to select all of them and then just copy that work on the other side. Yeah, that'll be our connecting piece, I think. Yep, that's going to be the one. All right, we're going to go back to about there. And that completes the mustache connection. I'm even gonna Andy, I'll put another one in right about here, sort of just fill in the corner here a little bit. But I want all of them kind of touching on all sides. I want there to be a little bit of contact so that this all ends up being one very solid piece. So yeah, even that, I'm actually gonna bring it up a little, bring it forward just a hair, and then I'm gonna copy it and I'm gonna stick it in to fill a little bit more of that gap. And if this seems tedious, it is. But one of the nice things about doing it right this time is that when the time comes where I go to design one of these for RIP, I'll already have a beard that I can use. I'll already have a body I can use. I'll already have a head I can use for other characters. All right, so we've got the start of a beard here. I think that's looking pretty good. Zoom out and look at the other head just a little because now it needs to come back up. All right, so we're gonna come in here and we're gonna start working our way up and around. I'm watching my view count to see how many of you bail in the course of this. Perry forgives, but he doesn't forget. Herobotic made it. Herobotic, I'm making Fisher Price Little People Perry for the merch table. I was just talking about you earlier and how I think I need you to be my like active mod on here, sort of helping me to implement some stuff on here. Of course, I can't pay anyone, so that does make it a less desirable role. All right, we're starting to get there. We're starting to get to what we want because we want this to come up to about here. I'm going to put one up where I kind of want the final position to be. Back to our front view. Unpaid work, sign me up. I would say it's like a volunteer gig, but even that sounds kind of generous. Like volunteering sounds like noble. Okay, and I think right about there, if I look over here, that's going to put it right about there. So we're going to fill in the rest of these little beard bits. Very nice. All right, and this is going to guide us a little bit. And every so often, we're going to have to kind of just touch up the way that these are moving. Let's see, how's the path taken there? It's not bad. Fortunately, need to take off in the near future too. Got to do some stuff with the missus. I get it. You going out for more driving lessons? Is that a done deal? Is everything good on that front now, or is that still a very trying thing? I can't teach anyone to drive. I stomp on the invisible brake and yell. Every driving teacher does that. It's called a survival instinct. There's no shame in it. Right, we're filling in the beard here. I think I want to give a little bit more here, so I'm gonna select a few of these and then just bring it on down. We're gonna use that to kind of figure out how to fill in here. That's looking good. Is that what you call that wagon you're dragging, Joey Nails? Perry, do you know how to drive standard? Because I'm struggling with the dump truck. Yeah, the dump truck is what he calls his butt. I do know how to drive a standard. I've driven a standard for as long as I can remember. I was 7 years old in the second grade when my best friend in elementary school, Clayton's dad, decided to teach us both how to drive a standard. Uh, and his method for doing so was to take us into the abandoned lot next to their home and teach us on his truck. And yeah, yell at us a great deal while we tried to figure out how not to kill ourselves by driving poorly. It was dangerous and it was scary, but I'm pretty good at driving standard now. All right, I'm going to fill in a little bit more of this back here. So I'm just going to select a bunch. Uh, I'm going to deselect. Here we go. Let's try that one, this one, and this one. Control D. Bring it on down here. Bring it back a ways. I think that's looking pretty good as one side of the beard. How do we feel about that? I think it needs to come out more. It needs to be bigger, right? See, oh, Nickabeans with the big story on driving standard. I learned to drive standard. My dad had a Suzuki Samurai in forest green. Hell yeah. White soft top that he drove year round, and it was cold in the back. I got to shift whenever my dad told me to when I was big enough to sit in the front seat. That's awesome. Yeah, it does need a little sweet chin music. I think you're right. So there's a few different ways I can do that. I can either add more layers of these, but I think probably the better way to do this is to get a nice view here. I'm going to go ahead and select all of this lower row, deselect this head, and I'm literally just going to stretch it forward. I want to make sure I'm not losing contact on the back here, and it looks like I definitely am. So I'll stretch it forward a bit more. Double check how we looking all. Yeah, okay. So all around, now I want to go back until we have some contact. That's looking significantly better. Not perfect though. I want to go back a bit more. That's probably where we want it. I think that's looking good. Now I'm gonna, let's see. The rest of my beard doesn't stick out that much, but these pieces need to come forward some. All of those gotta come forward a bit, and then we gotta make sure that we're keeping that contact. I like how it's getting a little rough and mixed up and weird now because that is exactly how my beard is in real life. Although I am having some doubts. I don't know. We're gonna control Z all of that back to original, and instead I think I am going to double up on layers because I like the sort of uniform texture that it presents. but it really is only the bottom part that has to come forward. My mustache is not that pronounced. Bobby liked it. All right, let's come down here and I'm going to select basically all of these. I'm going to deselect the box, deselect that. Control D. And then from this angle, I can go to like there-ish. And then I'm going to D again. And that brings it way forward. It's still a little messy, but I don't think that's going to be an issue. Do we leave the mustache kind of thinner like that? I think we do, because it's going to be its own color. Yeah, the double up does seem a little bit better. Um, I don't think I need to make the sides all that thick. I try to keep those kind of trimmed in, if I drag my reference image in here. The sides I keep kind of short. The bottom is thick, but I can't go that deep down because the body's going to hit there. All right, so I think what I want to do now, no, you know what? I know what I want to do now is see how this is going to look. So I'm going to come here, I'm going to select everything. I'm going to deselect that head, deselect that box. I'm going to hit Control D. Come up here to the mirror option. And we are going to mirror side to side, and then we are just going to move it over until we get it about even, which is just about there, the rear entrance. Herobotic, listen. Okay, so that's roughly what our beard is looking like at the moment, which I don't think is bad for this style of toy. Now, it is going to be a very small piece to 3D print, which has me a little bit concerned. Not a deal breaker per se. I might select the entire beard and double it up to make it thicker. I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. Yeah, I think that's what I have to do. All right. So I'm going to turn this head into a hole. Select this whole thing. We're going to hit group. And then we're all going to sit here for a minute because Tinkercad is a little bit slow when you get this many shapes happening at once. This is going to be kind of cool when I finally get to go move it onto the figure and see how it looks. And I am looking forward to trying printing out all of these. I really want to print them on the FDM printer. If I can print them in filament, it is less expensive, and I find the plastic to be a little bit more forgiving than some of the resins. Also, with the thin little pieces like some of these, printing in resin can be a little problematic. You get parts of the print that will tear, parts that will stretch and warp, just because of the way the printing process works. That's not an issue with filament printers. As far as when it will be available, well, um, depending on how much I get done on this stream, and we're at 10:21. Um, if I can get the figure and the truck done relatively quick, and who knows, I might do an extra stream this week if I don't finish it tonight. We might get two Tinkercad streams. Um, Depending on how much I get done, I could have these available as early as the beginning of the new year. I need to run off some test prints and make sure it's all working. And then once I've decided on colors, because I do want to print the colors rather than painting them for the most part, I'll have to order in some filament. But I'm hoping to have them very soon. And my first bookings for next year currently, the first ones I have confirmed are in February. So it looks like I may have January off, which will give me ample time to restock the old the old merch box. All right, so there's our beard shape. Now I do think that's going to be a little bit thin to print. So what I'm going to do is I am going to duplicate that, and then I'm going to bring it forward just a bit to sort of double up on itself so that it's kind of doubly thick. It is a little bit wonky. I could try to stretch it forward, but that's going to alter the shape a little bit. I don't want to do that. I think this is probably the better option. And truth be told, I could do it in chunks like that. Something like that, just to give it a little more body. All right, now I'm going to select those and I'm going to hit group. And that's the beard. And you're going to see in just a sec, only way my broke ass can afford one is via trade. Hey, you never know. You don't know what I'll charge for these. These could end up being a fairly less expensive thing. Again, I really wanna make packaging for these. And if I can, to do that, I have to build a vacuum former machine because I want that uh yeah, as my example, I'm gonna while this is grouping, because Tinkercad does slow down when you get this many shapes working. I'm gonna blow up. I would like to package this, and I would like to do it in like that classic action figure style with a cardboard backing and then the plastic bubble that keeps it on. And to make those, you need a vacuum former machine, and they sell some that would be about the right size, but they are very expensive, like prohibitively expensive. But to get all the components to build your own is not that expensive, and it is something I'm completely capable of. And I would love to have like a nice designed back with, you know, the accessory truck and the little figure, both in the little bubble. I think that would be really cool. And it would really stand out at the merch table. It would give people options whether they wanted to open them and play with them or if they wanted to keep them in the box and just stick them up on the wall like I do with Danhausen. I think that would be really cool. That said, I will probably sell a bunch loose as well. I'll probably have options for that if I do the packaging. Hydration points. Oh, that's right, man. I was just thinking like maybe I'll go long on the stream and really just I'll finish the design anyway. I have shoulders and abs tonight. I still have to get my workout in, so probably be calling it. It's taken a minute to finish grouping that. So what I'm going to do in the meantime, very quickly, I'm going to do a little bit of a cheat that makes some of this go a little bit faster. I'm going to select my hair piece. I'm going to come over here into my shapes and then into my creations. And with that selected, I'm going to hit create shape. Oh, it didn't like it for some reason. All right, we're going to try again. We're going to select that, hit create shape. Oh, it's still blanking out. You know, I'm just going to hit save shape anyway. Let's see. Oh yeah, here, there we go. There it is. PVV, little people hair. I'd have to trade an extra Stone Cold picture. Let's see, save shape. All right, so now that hair is going to be a shape that's already in here. Similarly, I'm going to do the same thing with the head. Little people head, save shape. And then I'm going to do the same thing once again with the body. Little people body, save shape. And this is going to make things go a lot faster a little bit further down the road. The beard is still thinking and still working, I believe. Um, I'm just going to see if it'll let me do it. Say create shape and see if it finds it. BVV LP beard. It might work. You never know. Yeah, it's still working away. That's all right. So, what I'm going to do while that's working, I'm going to come over here into my Tinkercad dashboard, create a new 3D design. Just going to let that keep working over in this other tab. You can see it's actually blocked by my ticker, but there's a little publishing part button that's like blinking at me. Nickel Beans, please do all the steps for these toys on video, live, or just YouTube. That's the plan. I think I'm definitely going to do time lapse of the prints of these to see how they work. And then I'm thinking on a live stream is when I'll do the first assembly of one and paint on the little face on a live stream, and then probably throw all the videos together. All right. So with my remaining, I'm gonna go like maybe like 25, 30 more minutes because I want to hit just like Hero Robotics got stuff he's got to do. Take it easy, my friend. Happy to have you. Just like he's got stuff he's got to do, I've still got to work out. I got to get in the night. It's shoulders and abs day, which is one of my most involved workouts. It's pretty exhausting. It's a big one for me. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start designing my truck. Um, and a part of me wants to go literally just as simple as this little car design, but with monster truck wheels. Um, I think I might be able to get a little fancier with it, but we're gonna start messing with some shapes and see what we come up with. I do like you see how the shapes on here are sort of tapered. It's not just a square. I really like that, and I'm gonna see if we can do something similar to that. So I'm gonna start with the body of the vehicle. So I'm gonna drag for right now just a cube in here because right now I'm just trying things. I want to kind of see like what this will look like. So I'm going to hit steps, and I know that this will do all kinds of things with it. No, not anymore, it doesn't. All right, I'm going to delete that. We're going to drag in the cube again. And for right now, I'm going to give sort of just my guess on, yeah, Bobby Gilbert says, do my VW pickup. I've got a video coming soon. We're going to do a workshop video. I have some parts of different vehicles, and we're going to make a monster truck VW Caddy, VW Rabbit, depending on who you ask. It's called a bunch of different things. All right, so first I'm going to get sort of the width on this. I don't think I'm going to go as wide as this is, because this is meant to seat two figures, and I'm really just building mine to seat one. So that said, what I'm actually going to do, and I'm going to do this on camera, I'm going to take the guy that it's meant for, and I'm going to see like on just the side, just from him to the side, how much space that is. And then I'm going to figure out like, oh, how much do I actually need on each side to make this look right? Yeah, okay. That's good. All right, so it looks like just about 10 millimeters on each side of the figure is what you need. And the peg hole that I made for this figure is about 20 millimeters. So if we want 10 on each side and 20 in the middle, that's about 40. I'm going to call it 42 millimeters wide. All right. And then I'm a little torn. I kind of like how this is two pieces. Like that's pretty cool, but I might just do mine as one and kind of bevel it as one sort of one look. I think that's going to be the way. I do like the length of this though. It feels substantial, but it's not huge. Like you see it in my hand, it's pretty good. So I'm gonna look and say that that's wow. That is 102 millimeters long, and I am happy to go with that number. 102 millimeters long gives us a shape about like that, which doesn't quite look right to me. Oh, right, I made it thinner. That's right. So it is going to be thinner. Do I want it thinner then, or do I want it? No, I guess thinner's good. And then for height on the main body there, we're looking at 31. I'm going to call it 32 because it's a monster truck and it's got to be tall. Call that 32 millimeters. So that's our basic body shape. Now what I want to do is I want to see what happens if I give it like some solid radius work here and we like kind of shape it. Yeah, like that reads a little bit more like this. Now what happens if I mess with the steps? Ooh, then we get some real weird stuff going on. Ooh. All right. But let's bring it back up to like yeah, somewhere right around 8. I think that's good. All right, so that's going to be our main body. And I'm happy with that for the moment. We're going to add some more detail and do some more interesting things on it shortly, but for now we're going to call that pretty good as a starting point. Okay. Now, a lot of this is going to be me kind of eyeballing this to see how the design works. One of the first things we want to do is we want to put our peg hole in for our little figure. And we determined that I believe I went 20 or 21 millimeters wide. So I'm going to call the hole that it's going to sit in, we're going to call that 22 millimeters. So I'm going to drop in our little cylinder hole, bring the sides way up because I want a nice smooth shape here. We're going to call that 22. We're going to call that 22. And now we want to just sort of center this in here as best we can. I think that's actually, I don't mind doing it by eye. Hmm. Hmm. Well, all right. Let's take a look and see what we think. Yeah, not quite centered. I'll come up to about there. Need to move my snaps to a smaller scale. I'm gonna hop over here. Yeah, that beard finally finished. Okay, we're gonna create the shape for that. It's not behaving for me. Come on. Create my shape. Do as I command. I'm gonna let that sit there and see if it can figure out what shape I'm trying to save. All right. So we want this to be fairly deep within there because we want it to be deep enough for this piece, but it will bottom out on it. So we'll put it to like there. And now we're gonna group these. All right, and the beginning of the truck body's coming together. Good. All right, so now I want to make our tires because we're gonna make little attachment pegs for the tires to just pop on. So I can print these as two different pieces. And you can see that's sort of how this works, where that red is the same plastic as this. It's all kind of one piece. So that's what I'm gonna try to do. I want to mimic that as best I can, and I don't think I'm going to need anything in the way of like wheel wells or anything, but well, there's some on here that you can kind of see. So I may very well mimic that. That might be the way to do it. But we're going to go one step at a time, and for now I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go to my creations, and I have my monster truck tire here. I'm going to bring it in and pop it in. You'll see it's just a clear through hole there. So nice and easy. And now I just need to kind of scale it the way that I want it. And for right now, I'm thinking I need to get myself out of the way. For right now, I'm thinking I want to make them a little bit bigger than they are on this, but not too much bigger because I want it to sit in a package comfortably. So if I'm looking at these tires are about 22 millimeters. So I mean, if we go 30, Or do I keep it? Do I keep it scale with what we're doing? You know what? Let's go. Yeah, we're gonna call it 25 because that actually looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. So let's get our side view here. We're gonna call it 25, and then we're gonna call it, is it this one? Yeah, this one. We're gonna call it 25. That's looking pretty good. Bring it up a bit higher here. All right, and now that's of course way too wide. Um, I'm thinking we want these to be kind of narrow here so that it matches this weird style. Call it about 13. Yeah, that's looking pretty cool. That's looking about how I envisioned it. So now with our view here, we've got this at almost ground level. Let's bring it down to the plate here. All right, that's good. So now I wanna kind of roughly put it about where I think it should be. I'm willing to do this part by eye, and they are kind of like here. Yeah, I'm thinking that's about right. So I'm gonna Command D. I'm just gonna move this down till it looks right again to my eye. Like I'm not too worried about getting it exact. I think it's gonna look a little silly kind of no matter what, and I think that's cool. Let's see, that looks pretty good. Well, maybe one's a little too far off to one side. I'm gonna bring this one forward a bit. All right, we thinking that looks pretty good. This one could maybe go back a little more. Yeah, we're gonna call that good. And now I'm gonna bring this up to just about there. And this is gonna be kind of how this ends up looking. Ah, super into that. That's great. All right. I am gonna, yeah, now what I wanna do is first thing I'm gonna do is alter the shape of this a little bit just to give us a little bit of relief here. And so for that, I'm gonna come to basic shapes. I'm gonna bring in our cylinder. I'm gonna pop it on its side, stretch it a bit longer, bring the sides way up to give me that nice round shape. We're gonna bring it there. We're gonna get a view from the side here, get it nice and centered on that tire. I'm holding the shift key. I'm gonna go up until I think it's about right. And then come down to about there. And then I'm gonna back it in just a little bit. I don't want it to go deep inside. I want like just a little outline. If I come up to my close up again, you can see there's just a little bit of a wheel well that they give these. It's not deep. It's not much. It's just enough that it's kind of cute, if that makes sense. Okay. And one thing I want to do first is I want to ungroup that. I just want to have that later in case I want to mess with it, in case I want to change that. There's a thing about the order of operations that occurs in here that can be a little bit difficult. All right, so now I'm going to go to this right side again. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to Command D, holding the shift. I'm going to bring it over till it's just about centered. And that should be pretty even there. Actually, yeah, I think I'm going to move those in just a little. Like I kind of want them to go like about to there. Just enough that there's a pretty noticeable indent, and that's sort of going to be our wheel well. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to grab both of those. I'm going to hit Control D, get the view from the bottom, bring the whole thing over this way, and then I'm just going to drag these over till they're about the same. Somewhere right about there. Should be pretty close, I think. All right, that's looking good. All right, so I'm ready now to say that these can be grouped. Boom, and just like that, we have wheel wells on both sides. Pretty happy with that. Did I hear that Chris Kohler is getting his own truck? I did hear that. Is he the one who's driving the Classroom Crusher? Is that him? I should have zoomed back out. Clearly, Joey Nails has gotten off the stream because he would have corrected me and told me to zoom out for all those views. But yeah, I basically just made our wheel wells on both sides, made them nice and even. Um, let's go to our front view here. I'm going to pick these tires, move them in until it sort of feels appropriate. I want them close but not touching. And I think that's kind of what we got here. Maybe out just a little. There we go. It's a new Team Scream truck. Did they announce the name? I feel like I did hear about this. Like I definitely feel like I heard about this. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make the little pegs that these tires are going to pop onto. And I have a nice little simple design idea for that. What time are we looking at? Ooh, this may end up being a two-parter. Ooh boy. Mayhem is the name of the truck. That's not a bad name, and it feels right for their team. Like that feels totally appropriate. Like that feels correct. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this cylinder, once again, put the sides way up, tilt it on its axis here to 90 degrees. I'm going to make it a bit longer because it is going to end up being kind of long in comparison with its height. I'm going to shrink it down a little, and then we're going to start kind of trying to move it into place here because we are making what's essentially going to function as an axle. Okay, that seems pretty good to me. All right, that's looking good. So now what I want to do is I want to take this little tool, this little hoop. Because all I need is something just a little bit wider than the rest of it. I'm going to pop it on its side. I'm also going to bring the radius way down like that. Ooh, all kinds of things I can do here. All right, but I like it about like that. For sides, we're going to go way up. Again, we want it smooth. And now, bring it over, get it mostly centered, bring it up a bunch. Because now what I'm going to do is we're going to sort of add it to this piece. And exactly what I'm doing should become pretty clear in a moment here. I'm essentially making a peg for this. Okay, and let's go to like there. That's looking pretty good. And we want it to be wider than the hole for the axle. And we want it good and centered on the tire here, which should make it centered on the axle piece. It's got to come up a little bit if we want it to be really even. Okay, that's looking good. And now I'm gonna bring it back a ways to about there. Okay, that looks good to me. Good contact all around, so it'll be one piece. All right. And now to make this peg, and this is super clever. How did I jump to that view? That was just the screen. Ugh, one of those nights. All right, now we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna bring in just a cube, and I'm gonna go to our right side view, bring the top up to like, we'll call it like there, because this is just by eye. And now I'm gonna go to like here. I think that looks good. We're gonna center it on that. Now we're gonna bring it back, and we are going to bisect the part that will be touching the tire. And even maybe a little bit more. Yeah, we'll go to about there, I think is good. We can even go a little deeper. No reason to not. All right, now we're going to group that. And now we have the peg. You know what? That's not going to quite do it. Control D, Control Z, Z. There we go. This has to actually be considerably smaller now that I'm looking at it. And that's okay, because we can do that. It's only got to be just ever so slightly bigger than the axle itself. I think that's going to do it, because that should, even that we can go a little bit bigger. We literally want to be just a little bit bigger than that hole. So let's get a dead right side view. I'm going to zoom way in so we've got lots of, get it nice and centered. Now this radius, we're just going to slowly bring up until it's just a hair bigger than that. That's what we want. Even that, we might be able to go just a little bit bigger. It's 12.15. Let's call it 12.5. Now let's go with that right side view. I think that's going to work. That should work for us. All right, I'm going to go ahead and group that. And that's going to be our peg because that's going to squish in and squeeze through. And I think that's going to work real nice. Yeah, because we want it to be a tight fit, but we want it to be able to squeeze through. All right, so what I'm going to do now, go to our bottom view here. We're going to back this in until it is into the truck and on those wheels just enough. You can even go a little bit more, a little bit more. Yeah, somewhere right about there is going to be good. That looks nice. All right. Now I'm going to Control D, and we are going to bring it over and center it up on this tire so that we have the exact same thing going on here. Perfect. Now we'll go to our bottom view. That's looking good. Now we're gonna copy all of those. Hit Control D. We are going to flip it. And now I'm gonna just bring it down till it lines up the way we want on the other side to kind of copy. This is one of the nice things about doing models that are symmetrical is that you can really use the duplicate button to your advantage. All right, and I think right about there looks pretty even on both sides. And actually, I'm even going to make both come out just a little bit more. That's looking pretty good. That's definitely what we want. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to highlight this whole bottom section and deselect everything that I don't want to be a part of this body. I'm going to hit group, and that's going to give us a lot of what we're looking for here. Again, I'm gonna start messing with our colors a little bit so that um, we have like a rendering that kind of shows us what we're thinking of. Now this could be good enough. I could just make that whole solid and have a very plain and simple truck. I'd like to do something a little bit neater and cooler with it. Kind of put like a hood on the front, maybe a little bit of a grill up on the front. And let's see, how are we on time? I got about 5 minutes to mess with it. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna throw like some headlights and a bumper on the front of this just to fool around and have some fun. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna bring in a square, and then I'm also gonna bring in one of these domes. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and bring in another one of these rings. And that's what we're gonna start to work with. You say a little Perry emblem. Hmm. Got an idea for that. Yeah, we're gonna do the bumper and the headlights, and then you're right. We're gonna do a little Perry emblem. It's the right call. When you're right, you're right, you know? All right, so we're gonna give it a little bumper. I'm thinking something about that tall, something about here. And then we'll go ahead and we'll reach it across just about there. It doesn't really matter if it's totally symmetrical. And then what I want to do is I want to come here and I want to hit is it steps? No, it's radius. We're going to radius it down till it looks like a cute little bumper. And then we're going to back it in to about there. There's our little bumper. While I'm at it, I'm going to copy it and put one on the back too. Why not? That's I think that's looking like a pretty good back bumper. And then you always double check, make sure you're not messing with any of your previously established design here. Okay, that's looking good. Come back to our front here. And the reason I brought these in is because I think we can combine them and make a bit of a headlight. Just a very simple. Again, remember we're mimicking the play school style here, so you want it to be very basic shapes. I think that looks pretty good. I might even come just a little bit up from there. There we go. We're gonna group that piece. Now I'm gonna flip it 90 degrees, get to our front view, bring it over. We're gonna shrink it down a little bit, bring it up. I'm cracking myself up here, guys. All right, and let's see what's our contact looking like here. Let's bring it forward, bring it back a little. Something like about there looks pretty good. Now I'm gonna Control D. We're gonna bring it over and try to get it lined up in a very similar way on the other side. I think that's pretty close. Maybe it comes in just a hair. Yeah, I think about there is about even. That's looking pretty solid. All right, and let's we're gonna make a Perry emblem for the front. I think that's a really good idea. So we're gonna take our top view here because we're just gonna work from above for a moment. We're going to drop in a cylinder, bring the sides way the heck up. Then let's see, I've got limited space to really work with because it's going to go right on the front and I want it to go between those headlights. So we're going to go about there. I think that's pretty good. All right, and then I'm going to shrink it down a fair bit. And now we're going to break out the big trick. I'm going to drag this text in here. And what should it say? Is it PVV? Is it Perry? Is it vicious? What's it say? I think it might just say Perry. I feel like it's little kid style, so Perry is a little more friendly than vicious. I've had a bunch of previous toy trucks that all said PVV on them. Vaughn. I think for this one, I want to go with Perry, and I mean, we'll see. Let me check. What are my text styles that I have to pick from? Yeah, they're all pretty blocky. I was kind of hoping for like a cursive or something, but Von Perry. Let's see. Ooh, that's the one. That's what I wanted. I think that looks really good. We're gonna give it just just a little bit of thickness there. And we'll bring it down here. Get a top view. I'm gonna have to stretch it tall for a minute, and then we'll fix it after. But let's get that top view again. Shrink it way down. We're gonna put it right there, just like that. And then come on up here. Gonna make it a little less gigantic. We're gonna turn it into a hole. And then we're just gonna sink into this little emblem a bit. I do want to come back to this emblem. Can I bevel this? Ooh, that's gonna be pretty. Yep, we're beveling. All right. And then we're gonna go ahead and we are going to group those. Perfect. That was a good idea, Bobby. That was the right call. Because now I can come up here, I can put it at the height that I want, back it up till it's just proud of the front of the truck here. Boom, and now we've got our little Perry logo on the front of the truck. What do we think about that? That pretty good? I think that's going to be great. Oh, I am exceedingly happy with that. Now the big trick is going to be getting it to print correctly because small overhangs like that can be a little bit difficult in print orientation, and it's going to be a fairly small piece because again, it's going to be pretty little. Um, Not impossible though. And one option I could do if I decided I was like really looking to get fancy with this is if I wanted to print these as individual pieces, I could cut a hole out on the front of this the same shape of this, print a little version of this in resin where the fidelity is a bit better, and then just glue it in place. Do a little engine in the back. I was actually kind of thinking of doing. I was going to do a front engine and then do like cut a little bed out of the back, so that it would have like a truck bed, and we're going to give it some tail lights and stuff too. Um, and I was sort of debating if I was going to give him like a windshield in front of him or anything like that. I think I want to leave the top really plain. On the car that I have, the little example of the car, they've got just this little indication of like what the windshield would be like on the front. And I'm not necessarily against doing that. I think that might actually work. Um, and the taillights on this, you can see there's like even a spot where a little license plate would go. Maybe I'll do little sticker license plates that say something funny. Um, but the idea, you kind of get what I'm going for here. The peg system is going to be really cool. It means that I can print the tires as their own piece. They'll be their own color in plastic rather than me having to paint everything. So it'll be very much in the style of this. Now there is still the chance I could come in here and like maybe right above the headlights and everything, cut this in half and do a second piece that glues together, sort of like how this is two colors. Right now, I think I'll probably stick with single color for this and maybe like do some stickers on it with like some flames or something funny. But I think we're gonna call that there for now because there's gonna be more to do here. We're gonna have to do a little wrestling ring for these guys. I think we're gonna do some other wrestler characters in this style, and I think we definitely need to see like the finished version of this with like a little engine and stuff. I do think a 3D printed engine in it is a very cool idea. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here. I'm going to select everything but the tires. I'm going to hit group just so we have the visual of what this is with our little Perry monster truck. Because uh, I need to get our thumbnail for this. Oh, it looks so cool. I want to make this a lighter color so the lines stand out a little bit. Oh, I didn't group the bumper in. There we go. Now we're gonna maybe like a green. Yeah, let's go green. That looks very Fisher Price. Now I'm gonna come back over here. Oh, hey, they finally picked the shape. PVV, little people, beard, save shape. Now I'm gonna turn this beard sort of Perry's facial hair kind of color, something like right about, yeah, that's the one. I got kind of a darker reddish beard. Let me get a good view of this at the height it should be. Zoom way and get it exactly where it's going to sit because it's going to sit right about there on this guy. Bring it back to about there. That's where it'll be. The mouth, the little smiley mouth and the two little eyes are going to be painted on when all is said and done. But you definitely get the idea of what I'm going for. Now, just for the heck of it, I'm going to copy and paste it into here so that we can see the two in situ. We want to see that it's going to sit where we want it. Bring it up just a hair. And that's how it's going to sit there. It's going to go right in its little, right in his little seat. Yeah, that came out pretty good. That came out pretty good. I'm still blocking the screen. Anyways, that's what we're looking at now. Is that's the guy in his little car. I'm so glad you guys could come and hang out for this because I'm really happy with how this went. Again, just to kind of show, this is our little guy going into his little car. I mean, with the little monster truck tires on there, we put a little like engine with some blowers on here. You know, maybe a little flag pole on the back. I can have a sticker flag like the old the 1990s Hot Wheels Bigfoots had. I think that would be pretty cool. I do think the Perry emblem was a good call. Oh, gotta group that in. Missing parts. No good, no bueno. Okay, we're gonna make this actually like a baby blue. I think is very Fisher Price colored. Side pipes. Oh, maybe. Yeah, they'd have to be up kind of high because I don't want them. Well, maybe like they could be down here somewhere, but I'm almost thinking like the sort of upward blowers that like the old tractor pullers had. I don't have a great toy example of that nearby. Usually I've got three or four that I might be able to choose from. Um, yeah, not even that'll do. Um, But I think some of those will work, and they usually 3D print pretty okay. But I could even have like an opening there and 3D print the engine in a different piece of plastic and kind of assemble everything. That's sort of what I'm going for here is like as little painting as possible for this to be done. You know what I mean? I like the idea of just popping the parts together. Sort of like, I mean, that's kind of the principle on these toys is the only painting was the face. Everything else is just individual pieces that pop together. It's kind of what I'm thinking. Uh, yeah, just like straight headers out of the hood, maybe even the engine, the header up out of the hood. That could be doable. We could do some blowers in the back instead, like its rear engine, like modern monster trucks, and then on the front I could have like some kind of sticker design that goes here. But there's a lot of possibilities, and I'm pretty excited with what I've created here to run some test prints. They're probably gonna have to wait till tomorrow because I'm actually over time now, and I still got to get my workout in. But I'm super happy with how this went. I am totally going to get a screen grab of this when all is said and done, so that I've got. I'm sorry, I can't look at it without laughing. Like that's funny. I can't believe that came out so well, and that honestly, you saw the amount of work I had to do. This was very little work. It's a super intuitive program. Tinkercad is so fun, and this was like 2 hours where I talked the whole time and I was interacting with chat. Like I was fairly well distracted. Um, but yeah, that's the stream for now. I may very well pop on again in the next couple days. It'll be sort of a surprise probably if I do it because I love how this particular project is going, and I would love to get in and do a little bit more work on it. But thank you all so much for hanging out. Yeah, keep your eyes out in case I'll be back up, and if not, next Monday and Tuesday at 9. And yes, that does mean probably Christmas Eve I will have a stream. It'll be a short stream because I got to watch Muppet Christmas Carol that night. But anyhow, I am off. I got to get down in the basement and do shoulders and abs. Thank you so much for hanging out, and I will talk to you all next week. Take it easy.